Okay, so I've been waiting to watch this film for absolutely ages, and it's finally arrived. It is Marvel's Iron Man 3. Now, before I do the review of Iron Man 3, I'd just like to say I've got tons of stuff to say about the film. Firstly, of course, I'm going to say really good points, and then there are actually some disappointing things about this film. Of course, overall, I thought it was great, but I'll get back to that later. But there are some twists and turns that sort of made the film disappointing, and I'll explain exactly why that is in the film. Okay, so for those people who don't already know what Iron Man 3 is about, it's pretty much about Tony Stark has built several different Iron Man suits now, and of course this is in his mansion on the island, and it causes sort of arguments, and it sort of causes this sort of weird friction between his girlfriend Pepper Potts, of course, who is the chief of Stark Industries. And at the start of the film, it shows a flashback of New Year's Eve in 1999 in Switzerland, where Stark is honestly rummaging around, and then there's this scientist who tries to communicate and talk plans to Tony Stark about his plans, and of course this is the Mandarin. And obviously when Stark Industries security chief Happy Hogan is caught in one such attack, Tony Stark sort of finds that this is caused by the Mandarin, and people are out to target him as well. Of course, because this is a spoiler-free review, I'm not actually going to say what that creation is that the Mandarin creates, but some of you might already know what it is, and you might know exactly what happens, but I can definitely tell you, for the people who don't know about it, that it plays a really big part in the film, because it's pretty much evolved around what happens and basically what the Mandarin does with it. Now, a really good thing I liked about this film is the fact that the performance by Robert Downey Jr. was actually excellent, and of course he has done a lot of excellent films as well, like Sherlock Holmes and the rest of the Iron Mans, of course, and also the Avengers. But in this film, it really went into depth of his emotional acting and the way he just can show his facial expression, and that was really good because it's one of the main plots in this film is based on his anxiety and the emotions he's going through because of the Iron Man suit and the connection between him and Penny. So I thought that was really good. So if you are going to see this film, then you can definitely look forward to seeing that, because his role really was good. Of course, there are a lot of really good other things I liked about this film. Firstly, the intense action and the sound. Now, I was watching this in 3D, and unfortunately I did actually find that it did seem a little bit blurry, but I think that was because I was sitting right at the front of the cinema. So if you are going to see this in 3D, I recommend sitting back. However, if you watch this in 2D, and it's fine. However, if you want to get a good position, I recommend sitting sort of near the cinema, near the back, because if you're sitting at the front, there's too much action, and it sort of gets too distracting. And of course, the sound in this is absolutely breathtaking. It's really good, really in your face. Some people don't like that, but really enjoyed it. The music was really good as well. Now, of course, because this is a Robert Downey Jr. film, it means the budget is ridiculously high. And of course, if there is a ridiculously high budget film, then it's a good quality film. You can pretty much nail it down to that, because it did pay off. The cinematography and the special effects really were breathtaking. It was absolutely brilliant to watch in the cinema. Now, those were the main things I really liked about the film. However, there are a lot of annoying, disappointing twists about this film. So one of them was actually the director, Shane Black. Now, of course, he has done some good films, but I felt that the potential in this film really didn't reach the top, because while I was watching the film, I noticed that it felt rushed. Of course, the opening seemed absolutely amazing. The story was sometimes good, but even the plot seemed a bit crazy, because obviously it's based on the Marvel comics. However, they have edited it quite a bit, because I've read some of the main comics of Iron Man, and they have edited it and modified it quite a bit. Now, what was also disappointing about this film is the fact that there's just so many Iron Man suits now. Now, obviously in Iron Man 1, obviously his partner tried to steal his suit, and there was just still one main Iron Man suit that was created by Tony Stark. And in Iron Man 2, he made I think it was 3 more Iron Man suits, but of course another one was the one that folds in the laptop. Now in Iron Man 3 there's well over 20 different Iron Man suits. Now obviously in the film they looked really cool and awesome because you get loads of different types. You get small thin ones that are made for flying everywhere, and then you get really big hench Iron Man suits which are for destroying things, and I thought that was quite cool. But now thinking back to it, it sort of takes away the spirit of the Iron Man, and that was really disappointing because it doesn't really make Iron Man exist now. It's just a collection of different Iron Man suits. Now, I found this was probably the most disappointing thing about the film, as I said, it took away the spirit of Iron Man, and that was quite annoying because it's meant to be based on one superhero. Well, now it's just loads and loads and loads. Of course, it was cool to see it, but if you watch the film over, and you'll know what I mean, because it sort of destroys it in a way. Now, as I said, I loved it, but it sort of ruined it. Even though I found those disappointing things sort of ruining the film, I did find the overall film excellent because there was good action, good special effects. I really enjoyed the performance by Tony Stark because it was more in-depth and it made more sense because they were paying him so much money, where in Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2 he wasn't really showing his full potential in acting, where in this film he was, and it really did show off because it's just the way he performed and it looked absolutely awesome. Now, some of you probably would have seen some pictures all over the internet and YouTube and Facebook of this, and obviously some of you might already know what it is, but just for those who don't, this is the Iron Patriot, and don't worry, this is not an enemy in the film. This is just his partner James Rhodes, who is playing the new who is using the new Iron suit, and it's called Iron Patriot brackets War Machine. That's what he wants to call it. Now obviously he doesn't want to call it War Machine because he wants to use the Iron Patriot armor suits for protection, and he can also use it to do whatever he wants with it. A really big twist in this film is the Mandarin. Now of course he is the main bad guy in the Marvel Comics, but when you watch this film, you'll know exactly what I mean. There is a massive twist to this guy, because I can't explain it, because if I give any detail, then you'll know exactly what I mean. Now, obviously, I'm going to clear some of your thoughts out of the way. He is not a robot or fake or anything like that. But there is a huge twist, and you'll know exactly what I mean when you see this film. Now, in this review, I did say a lot of harsh things, and it may seem that the film was disappointing in some areas, and it was. However, it definitely was still a good film, no doubt about that. It was very entertaining, great acting, awesome special effects and sound, so it was definitely a good film, and I would recommend watching it if you did enjoy Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, and also the Avengers. So as I just said, even though there were some areas that could have been better, it still was incredibly good to watch. So for that reason, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. So that is my final opinion on what I thought of Iron Man 3. If you did enjoy this video, please comment, like, and subscribe. Now, if you did see this film, or you're going to see this film, as I said, comment in the section below exactly what you thought of it, or what you do expect from the film.